Hello, my beautiful star family. This is our Taurus Galactic Star Report. It's going to be a little bit different this time. If you were able to join in live at our time where we were going to do this live together, you would have found out that my internet was down. So we're just rolling with it. Instead, if you want to go back and watch that live that we did, it is actually a transmission that was inspired by this Taurus Galactic Star report, as well as some introspections and meditations that I was having through my connection to the Guardians. So hopefully that transmission will bring some benefit, some insight, or some love into your life as you also get to work with this material, because Taurus is incredibly a special time for us to work with. It truly, truly is. And Taurus has such a Venusian energy, as we're going to look at as soon as I start the PowerPoint here. This Venusian energy really helps us learn how to merge worlds. This is really quite a gift of Taurus, is really a beginning cycle of learning how to merge worlds. And within this, before we get started with the PowerPoint, let's look at some key dates for our Taurus alignments. And just please, as a reminder, there is a link on my website, and the website is withbecca.com. You can see it in the links down below. On the bar, you will see everything is available there for you to either find out about the next upcoming events, but primarily there's a Google Calendar on there. And on that Google Calendar, I keep posted these very alignments that I'm going to be sharing with you. I will have them up there, but it also points and it posts out when is a gate changing, or when is a retrograde starting or ending. So it's really kind of a neat calendar viewpoint of what our star alignments are doing, so that you can kind of look at it as maybe as an organizational way if you wanted to use it as a resource for maybe mapping, planning, or just being aware of things. Within there, just to know that some of the key things to really be aware of at this time is that on the 19th, Taurus is starting. And not only are we moving into the alignment of Taurus, but in Taurus, we are going to be Mercury conjunct Venus. So just to make a note on there, when you see these little things on there, this is really going to be for you to meditate on, to really get to see maybe what position is it in within your chart. Where would Mercury and Venus be in this conjunction for you? Because as you get to see these energies and start to learn the language and play with it, you're going to see that it's really kind of however you want to take that vibration. It's whatever level your consciousness is at the moment, that you're going to be playing with the energies of the planetary movements. Just because planets are going to be, say, moving through Taurus signs, or in conjunction with each other, or having massive influences even through retrogrades, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're all going to be feeling it the same. And this is the very special thing about astrology and human design and gene keys that I want to maybe just kind of verbalize again, is this is for you. It's your map. And whatever level your consciousness is at is where you're going to play with it. And for some people, certain things might be an, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever kind of energy. But for a lot of us, when we learn to work with what these movements are, what these influences are, what these energetic impulses on our consciousness are, we can actually take them like an adept and work with them. Work with what you got and see how it fits into your map, your dreams, your plans of what you are manifesting and creating, and to move with that in the best way possible. So within this, just very quickly, I want to just mark some key dates, and I'm going to run through them really quick. I will be putting a timestamp here so you can come back to this and see it again. April 19th in the gate 3, Mercury and Venus will be conjunct. The next day is a really big day that we've been looking for. So on April 20th, Moon will be moving into Libra, Jupiter conjunct Uranus. This is that really big conjunction that Jupiter and Uranus are having in this Taurus energy that we are going to be able to really work with. So this is something to really mark on your chart for the 20th. The 21st, very, very important as well. So we got 3 days in a row. The 21st of April, Sun is squaring Pluto. Okay, so Sun and Pluto are going to be square to each other, and at the same time, Venus is going to be conjunct Chiron. It's a big Aries energy that's going to be really massive. And then we got, Taurus in a conjunction with that Aquarius energy of Pluto. So within there, that's again going to be for you to meditate. Where's that in your chart? We move down to the 23rd is going to be the full moon. The full moon is going to be in the sign of Scorpio in the gate 28 of struggle. So we're going to really look at that. What is that going to mean for all of us? Now we're going to move down to the 25th of April. We get, woohoo, Mercury retrograde ends. Now, as we get to experience that, we get a little bit of a breather before Pluto is actually going to be going into retrograde. So let's just kind of keep moving on here. The 28th, moon moves into Capricorn. At the same time, so moon will be in the sign of Capricorn. Mars is going to now be conjunct Chiron in Aries. Okay. So now the 29th of April, Venus enters Taurus. This is going to be huge. So Venus is entering into a whole new sign. It will be entering into the sign of Taurus while the sun is also in Taurus. On April 30th, the last day of April, moon moves into Aquarius. Mars is actually going to now move out of Pisces into Aries. Okay, so Mars is going to move into Aries energy. Within this, as we just keep moving forward, now we're into May. As we're kind of halfway-ish, about a third of the way actually-ish into Taurus, May 1st, kind of a calm day, no major influences. May 2nd, moon moves into Pisces. Pluto goes retrograde. Here we are. Pluto is going to go retrograde on the 2nd while we are in an alignment with the sun to gate 2. So on the 2nd, gate 2 activated by the sun, Pluto's going into retrograde. Pluto barely got a little taste of the gate 41 before it's moving back into the gate 60. So we're going to talk about this in a really big way. So now moving down on the 4th of May, we have moon moves into Aries. On the 6th of May, moon moves into Taurus, and now Mercury is conjunct Chiron. So hopefully you'll get to see Chiron is set in Aries and all of these faster moving planets starting with Venus conjuncted with it, then Mars conjuncted with Chiron. Now Mercury is conjuncting, now that it's going direct again, conjuncting with Chiron. So Chiron, wherever Chiron is for you, is going to be massive because this is going to be influencing a great healing energy for you. And as all of these planets move past it in a conjunction, they're adding a vibrational frequency to it that you can work with towards being the greatest gift you came here to be in this experience and in this lifetime. So on May 7th, now is the new moon. May 7th, new moon. The new moon will be in Taurus, and it will be happening in the gate 2. So it is going to be kind of at the tail end of the gate 2, which is again being influenced now really significantly by this Pluto retrograde that has just started. Now, as we move into May 8th, moon moves into Gemini. Jumping down to May 10th, moon moves into Cancer. Moving forward into May 13th, sun is now conjunct Uranus. How cool is that? So we started the sign of Taurus with this massive energy of Jupiter conjunct Uranus. And Jupiter's going to be moving on a little bit. Now sun is going to catch up and bring that go around again to this Jupiter energy that was conjunct, and this Uranus energy that was conjunct, and as it's now bringing that vibrational energy and you're getting a vibration to light it up. Moon's also moving into Leo on the 13th, that same day. So this is a very solar sign for the moon to be in. Sun conjunct Uranus, moon moving into Leo, the solar sign. This is really, really big. The 13th of May is actually quite a big day for us to really work with, and it's just after the new moon. So it's going to be expanding a lot of your energy of what have you planted in that new moon. The 15th, Mercury is now moving into the sign of Taurus. Okay. So we had Venus enter into the sign of Taurus at the end of April, April 29th, and now Mercury is going to slide into Taurus. So we'll have them both in there. There's going to be, as we're going to see, quite a few signs sitting in there, and Moon will now be moving into Virgo. The last two things for us to really look at is now on the 18th, Sun is going to catch up to Jupiter. So Jupiter moved away from Uranus from that conjunction in the beginning, and Sun, as it made its way past Uranus on the 13th, is going to eventually catch up with Jupiter on the 18th. So right, not too far from when we're going to be moving into the sign of Gemini. It's going to be moving in a conjunction to Jupiter. This is a really powerful thing to look at. But Venus has been trailing along and catching up, and now Venus is in conjunction to Uranus. Mars will be conjunct the North Node, and Moon moves into Libra. This is all happening on the 18th of May. 18th of May is a really big day. And then we finally, on the 20th, the Sun moves out of Taurus and into Gemini as the Moon moves into Scorpio. So Sun's going to go into Gemini, Moon is going to go into Scorpio, and from there we will take it at our next Galactic Star Report. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into our PowerPoint. So as we get to look at the energy of Taurus, I wanted to start with this vibration as we get to look at it as the Trinity within the chart. We're going to see that Taurus is in alignment to Virgo and Capricorn as Earth signs within the chart. Now, as we get to look at these vibrational energies, this is Taurus within the second house that is connected to Venus. We also have Virgo in the 6th house, which is connected to Mercury. And then Capricorn within the 10th house connected to Saturn. So we have this trinity of planetary influences, which is Venus, Mercury, and Saturn, which is our ethics, our values, how we perceive or think about the world. Mercury is how we label this world. It's how we see the world. So Virgo is adding that mercurial energy to this Earth sign. And then Capricorn 10th house, Saturn, it is now about that construction of this reality. So let's look at the Earth signs as we get to look at this. Taurus, in so many ways, is our gateway energy in. And so it still holds a vibration to it of a flicker of the light of Aries that remembers our birth point, that remembers our soul's passion, that remembers our desires and that which we want to create as our beauty within this world. I wanted to put within here this image here of our solar system. We talked about this a little bit within the transmission that I did prior to the recording this, and you can catch that. That video is called, "Is it possible for a consciousness to move past the Van Allen belt?" So within that particular video does go into this energy here of the photon belt, and it is a really neat way for us to see this photon kind of like a toroidal donut, right? This torus is moving through, and this Taurus is really where the seven sisters of the Pleiades is residing and has a huge influence on us. So Astronomically, when we look at the stars, we can understand that when we look up towards the Taurus constellation, that we can see the little cluster of stars there that is the Pleiades. But through our mythology, it is abundantly clear that the Pleiades is far more significant to us than I think any of us have really fully grasped. And part of this, I think, is our dance. Our dance through the yugas is in some way intrinsically tied to this star system, specifically the star Alcyone. And from the Keylontic perspective, from the plate wisdom, CDT plate wisdoms, we can know that Alcyone is holding the template for Tara, the next energetic vibration up for Earth. So there's Earth, Tara, Gaia, and then we move into Aurora Earth. And so we know that Alcyone is the place within our Cathara tree of life that we would see where this next template up is held within the Pleiades. Well, we can see it right here in a really beautiful way. Our own solar system moves in a circular dance with this Taurus, to where our sun at very particular yuga cycles moves into alignment within Alcyone. Alcyone is known to be the solar being there, again, the higher octave of Earth, but it's known to be the solar being there that never leaves the radiance of pure light within the core or the center of this toroidal donut. Okay, so you can see it's kind of placed here in the middle. So even though the others may be moving, Alcyone never leaves full connection to the light. Whereas the other seven sisters do a dance. So they do hold a bit more of the blueprint or even the archetypes of some of our patterns that we play out here on Earth. And as we get to look at this, we get to recognize that the sun is actually on this orbital dance with all of them. From the Voyagers books, we've gotten to see a bit of this history of that war, the electric wars that took place there, and that explosion that took place that kicked all of these body parts of Mother, all of these body parts through and down in consciousness into what is now known as our solar system. So a lot of times we can look at our solar system, that the sun would have been one of these bodies of, say, one of the sisters, if you will, even though it's seen as more as a masculine energy. It would be seen as part of this grouping that would have gotten kicked out, and our planets would actually be kind of like fragments of Tara within Alcyone that would have gotten kind of sucked down into this lower solar system where we are. And when we say lower, we're not saying it in a physical lower, but we're saying it in densities of frequency bands or consciousness. And we can see that it's, in some ways we are much further from that core central alignment. We are out of alignment. So as we get to look at this, when we connect it to our Venusian ethics and creating material balance, part of this is about starting to align ourselves and to remember that in lower bandwidths of consciousness, we can get really pulled into the material realm. The Taurus energy is coming from the primal light fields, but it's the original energy that starts to bind with the matter or the mother, and it starts to get really caught up in the material world. So Taurus is notoriously known within the chart, and our second house is notoriously known as material gains, money, physicality, having the things you need to feel comfortable, to feel provided for. So it's food, it's home, it's clothes, it's all of the things we need on a very survival basis. And when somebody starts to move too far into Taurus qualities that are of lower vibrations, it can become very, very materialistic. Finding a sense of security in the material plane, rather than recognizing that Taurus is actually that doorway that could keep us open to our star fire within, and to our higher levels of light body, so that we could be in this material realm, we could work with it, we could be creators within it, but also within an honor, not misuse it, not hoard it or keep it or make it about us. So now let's look at it from the Trinity again. When we look at the Trinity, Taurus again is about making sure we have what we need so we feel safe. That is just the theme of it that we get to work on. Virgo is where we start to now want to take that earth energy and bring it into service. It's about work. It's about how does our body function? It's about what is our career, our job? How are we supporting this creation? And primarily with it connected to Mercury, a lot of it still gets spun inward because it's still in the lower half of the astrological wheel. It hasn't moved out into perspective for others yet. So Virgo is still a very inward. And a lot of times that mercurial energy with Virgo makes us worry about, did I do good enough? Did others value what I was working on? When I did this, was I valued? Was I respected? Did others see what value I brought? Okay. Or it will question our own self. Sometimes it can turn on us to where we start to go like, oh my gosh, I should have done that better. I don't know if I did that good enough. Oh, I forgot this. I should have done that. I should have done this. It can start to get us to get those whirlwinds of thoughts within our mind that many times will keep us stuck reviewing the past without recognizing that, hey, when we are in the now, we be our highest values in the now, and we flow with that. We trust it. Will it be perfect? No, not in the physical plane. But, Virgo wants to start seeking perfection, and I have to get it right, and I have to do it right in all this order. Because now, as the next Earth sign moves into place, it wants to move into Capricorn, Saturn. It wants to lock it in time. It wants to lock it in structure. Okay. So this is just some interesting things to look at within your own chart. If you were to look at your material dance within your chart, you could look at second house, sixth house, 10th house. What planets do you have on there? What kind of story are you playing out? Where by chance is Venus, Mercury, Saturn? Venus shares an alignment with Libra as well. So there are two octaves to Venus. So the lower octave of Venus is Taurus. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. Like Libra is not better than Taurus. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if we look at it in octaves, if you're playing the piano and you went one octave up, Taurus is about the foundational, having what we need on a foundational level. Libra would just be the next octave up on more of a group or relationship level. So just a little bit of a different spectrum. Now within Capricorn, we're going to see that Saturn is where we like to box things in, lock things in. Capricorn energy can have also a very strong impulse towards material finances, work, and these kinds of things. So we can see that these trinities that we're working with right now, the invitation by sharing this is take this and recognize that this is actually part of the sacred dance. Part of the sacred dance is being spiritual and allowing that higher consciousness, higher mind consciousness to still play within the material, the polarity, the duality. And how are you going to mold it? How are you going to be a creator within the material realm? What ethics are you bringing? What are you in alignment to? And what is impulsing how you think, how you speak, how you act, and the work that you came here to be? So I say it that way because, again, a lot of us have a question: what's my soul purpose? Why am I here? What is my mission? And our work, in many ways, is who we be. And when we be that highest vibration, we start to recognize things at a whole other octave of consciousness. So within this is just quickly to look at the dates on here. This again are things that you can look at on the calendar later, but this is a visual for you to see from the Soul-Centered Astrology by Alan Oken. I took this from there. Taurus is the penetrating light of the path. This is the beam of light streaming forth from the point in Aries. So it's coming from Aries and revealing the area of light control. This is a huge statement to break down, but it's saying that we come in as consciousness, we come in as a field of light. That when we kind of recognize what our consciousness is as part of the plasma rays of the one, it's power, it's the Shakti, it's the starfire, right? So we are the starfire, and when we come in, we start to merge into material matter. So density, the womb, we feel restricted in there. And as we begin to merge within, how do we control the light? It's revealing the area of light control. Think of that term, when we imagine Taurus energy, sometimes there's that phrase, the bull in the china shop, where it's this massive force of energy coming through. How do we reveal the area of light control? How do we begin to master being in this, but knowing we're holding so much more energy so that we can begin to play within this realm without breaking a bunch of things, creating a bunch of miasm, getting all entangled in karma and miasm. So it's really a fine dance that when we truly connect to our higher self and these greater aspects of our light body, they're massive fields of energy. And we're here squeezing it into an itty bitty teeny little body and moving around in this realm. And part of it is learning that balance of what do we kind of push for? What do we want to like give that creator force energy? And in what areas do we actually need to be more gentle, soft, pull back, take on more of that Venusian energy and allow that energy to flow, that softness. So we can see within here that we have vibrational energy within the ajna, the throat center, the G center, and then the sacral center. So the G center, I was about to say identity center, it's just another name for it. I also like to call it the seat of the soul right in here. So you can see that Taurus does whoop, this pillar, and it's almost perfectly down the middle except for the gate 27. So this will be significant because the gate 27 is where the sun will be when we are in our first full moon, while the full moon will actually be in the gate 28, it's polarity. But we can see that this is pretty significant. We're all down the middle, and all of a sudden one kind of veers off. And just to give you a knowing of what the name of that is, it's the gate of caring. It's the gate of nurturing, caring. It's also referred to as the Mother Teresa gate. So let's dive into some of the Taurus keywords. These are from Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. This, I'm not going to go through all of these, but please, in some of our conversations, we like to always look at all polarities, all the potentials of experience, and every sign has kind of like two sides of the coin, so to speak. So just as much as Taurus can have very much beautiful energies of preservation, resources, values, beauty, survival, these beautiful energies of self-sufficiency and all of these things, self-esteem, patience, personal value, it also can have the flip side of holding signatures of starvation, poverty, wanting to give up, shutting down, stubbornness, hoarding, even energy, the Venusian energy within there. Taurus is a highly sexual sign. It has a lot of sensuality to it because it's about touch. So on a shadow level, if you have significant placements in Taurus, like for me, I have my moon in Taurus. It kind of helps keep me grounded on this earth a little bit so I don't float away too much. But, if we have certain alignments to Taurus, we're going to recognize those are actually the places where we can begin to feel creation, and that's why Taurus loves to utilize the material realm for even more comfort, sensuality, the blankets that feel good, the pillows that feel good, the snuggly kinds of things, right? But on the flip side, if it is out of alignment, it can express itself in two ways, either overly seductive or promiscuous energy, or a shutdown to where it's like, ugh, I don't want to be touched. Ugh, like almost a repulsion to touch or having others within your space, almost like a discomfort from that sensuality. And so just I'm putting that out there because if you've heard a lot of my presentations, you will know that I say in a lot of ways it's really important for us to get to a place that we become one with the sacred dance of life, to the place where we start to make love to all of life, that every experience of nature, of creation, of what we do isn't sexual, but it has a sense of connectedness to that sensuality of being connected like the one. So this is really, really beautiful to tap into. As we started with this is the gate we ended our last Aries report with, because 3 kind of transitions over. And 3 is only in the sign of Taurus for a couple days. It's very, very quick, but it does have a crossover energy here. So remember, this is kind of coming out of that fiery energy, and that crossover energy wants to start to bring chaos into order. And chaos is another discourse we've been having quite a bit lately, a conversation that we've been having about chaos as a representation of the divine cosmos, of the divine cosmic mother, as the divine cosmic energies. And we know that there is actually even a being referred to as chaos, who gave birth to Nyx, the night. There is all kinds of mythology that really shows through many, many different types of teachings, whether it's the Dogon teachings or Celtic teachings, or teachings from the Greek teachings, Vedic teachings. There is stories told of this cosmic chaos. And then chaos starts to go into these dances, which are our experience, our worlds, our planets, our suns, our stars, our bodies, our different things within the planetary systems, the animals, the minerals, all of these things. And this cosmic dance happens. And it truly is chaos when you see it at a microbial level. The world we're living in right now is quite a bit of chaos, but that we make order within it. But if we try to control it, it's like trying to wrangle nature, storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes. It's like we get this harebrained idea that we want to control the chaos rather than learning to bring in that childlike innocent to being one with it. Seeing the intrinsic beauty of it, flowing with it, not getting attached to any of it, but recognizing its constant movement and shifting. And as we embrace that vibrational energy, it gives us a way for us to start to have more kind of an ease within our nervous system. It allows us to relax into being without feeling as though we have to hang on to or keep track of everything. And it helps surrender. Okay. So this is powerful because within this is the energy we want to really take into Taurus. How do we learn to surrender that everything in the material realm isn't going to be perfect? Things get out of order. Sometimes we have, sometimes we don't have. There's a constant like cycle, and there is chaos, there is death, there is disorder. But when we see it from higher mind, higher perspective, we start to recognize there is beauty even in this dance. So now this is almost more than I can talk about within the star report because there are so many alignments to star nations while we are in the sign of Taurus. We have everything from Andromeda to the Aries constellation to Cassiopeia. We have connections to the Eridanus star system, to Cetus, to also Perseus, which is massive. And then, of course, Taurus, as we start to move into our alignments with the Pleiades. So it starts with Electra, and then it's going to be moving into Taygeta, and then moving into all the other alignments as we begin to move in more into Gemini. But as we get to look at this, some of the primary energies we get to see is there's massive duality within all of these star nations. We have different beings from Cassiopeia who are really holding guardianship through higher dimensions, through guiding and assisting race lines, through their evolutionary processes. We also have the Cetus star nation here with Minkar, which is massive because this is kind of like the underworld place. In some ways, this is seen as a place of retribution, the place where when an angelic soul, a being who holds angelic coding and blueprint within them, goes through life cycles where they start to step outside of their divinity, for all intents and purposes, becoming aligned to fallen angelic. There is a sense within many that at a certain point, there is a sense of wanting to shift and change that. Again, that retribution, wanting to make the wrongs right, to bring balance and to go through. So Minkar is really an energy within there that is about kind of a realm where one would go into processing, going through, review, understanding things. I want to be really clear that, when I say fallen angelic qualities, there is not a soul on this planet that hasn't at some point expressed fallen angelic qualities. It's part of experiential dances. It is part of the experience within these, especially these lower dimensional realms. Now, as we get to look at, say, vibrations of Andromeda, Mirac, this is also another, Andromeda has a really high vibrational kind of characteristic to it, a very diplomatic characteristic to it, a very service to others characteristic to it. But the history of Andromeda is not all roses and dolphins and whales. It does have its massive catastrophes, traumas, and polarities that took place. That is primarily why Andromeda is such a leading guidance system for us now, because they're just massively ahead evolutionary wise and are able to help to rectify some of the many different things that actually ripple effect started in the Andromeda system. So Andromeda, a lot of their involvement to assisting and guiding through different federations and councils is to help balance out a lot of imbalances that originated within the Andromedan system. So a lot of the energy within Taurus is about bringing balance, about recognizing where things went out of balance. Where going into density throws us off. It throws our frequencies off. It throws our consciousness off. It throws us off. It throws us for a loop. And that age-old statement that says you don't know how you will act unless you're ever in that position or that situation. There's a lot of people that like to say, oh, well, if that would have happened to me, I wouldn't have done that. Or, oh, I totally would have done this, or I would have done that. But the truth is, none of us know how we will react to certain situations until that situation arises within, and then we get the opportunity to see how we will react within that situation. And every individual is going to be acting based on their own limbic system programs. So whatever their fight, flight, freeze, or fawn is programmed to, that's how they're going to respond. So sometimes people are like, oh, well, if they would have done that to me, this is how I would have done. Well, who's to say maybe you're in fight mode, but somebody else is in fawn mode or somebody else is in freeze mode, right? So we cannot judge another person's experience. And in fact, that's what Minkar is all about in Cetus. It's about us being able to be within time cycles where we get to look at our own cause and effect. That it isn't about anybody else's thoughts, anybody else's experience, but what was our responsibility that we want to take in that moment. And that is so powerful, because the more we really start doing this, the more we are going to align to those higher levels of consciousness that start to dissolve and dissipate away all of the pent up things. Again, you can see this through the limbic system. Our limbic system locks in past memories, and then we live our life based on past events. But if we start to neutralize those energies, those past events have no influence over how we act in the now any longer. And that is truly what this next sign is giving us an opportunity to, starting to look at where are we putting so much of our weight onto the material realm and how we need things to be, how perfect we need it to be, how aligned we need it to be, how perfectly soft we need it to be, right? And then how are we going to begin to shift and change these perspectives to where we recognize all connection is internal connection. And our gift is to actually be that light for the material realm, not to make the material realm work for us, but how do we be that light and that gift for the matter, for the mother, for the material realm? And it's just a cool thought, right? And then we do have Perseus in here, which is Algol. It is known as the evil star or the eye of Medusa. But it's actually a massively alchemical, powerful placement to work with. If you know how to work with Algol's energy, it is not poison anymore. It is actually that which can help awaken the Hieros Gamos within you. It is about bringing divinity back to the divine feminine and the divine masculine. As you can see, it is about the depolarization of one being holding more weight than the other. And so when we get to look at this, it's not about trying to erase them from being. We don't want to erase genders. We don't want to erase the value and the differences and the qualities of the masculine and feminine. We want to harmonize and venerate both for the beauty that they are. That is a really powerful thing, and that anything out of that alignment, like Algol, it can create a lot of destruction, a lot of throwing things out of alignment. And then, of course, then becomes our alignments to the Pleiades. This is going to be massive for all of us as we start to work with this vibrational energy. As we move more in connection to the Pleiades, this is going to be really highlighting towards the end of Taurus and into the beginning of Gemini, our connections to this photonic belt energy. And so we'll dive into that a little bit more at our next star report. This is just for you to have a visual of where the planets will be sitting. So you can see that primarily we got Pluto sitting in Aquarius. We have Saturn and Neptune sitting in Pisces for a smidge of time here. And then we're going to have this massive move of energy over here, really moving through Aries, Taurus, and then this is actually going all the way to May 31st, so into Gemini. Unfortunately, AstroSeek doesn't let me pull a chart based on zodiac sign. It's per month. So just to know, some of these are not going to be entirely that far by the end of Taurus, but it's giving us a future perspective into where they're moving as they move into Gemini. So that's just for a visual for all of you. This is very quickly, we already went over this when I read through where all the placements are, but this is for you to come back and reference. This is just the date for all the moon placements. So each time the moon enters into a sign, the reason why I place this on here is because the day that the moon is in your sun sign. So if you are a Scorpio, you would want to find when is the moon entering into the sign of Scorpio, which would be April 23rd and then again May 20th. You would want to recognize that those are your magical days to go into introspection, meditation, downloads. It is where The moon energy in your sun sign begins to open up a lot of the sacred chambers within your inner temple. And if you are really doing the alchemical work to open up these centers through breath work, through meditations, through clearing out your consciousness, you will be able to magically use these moments when the moon is in your sun sign as your magical ritual days. So here it is for you just to take a peek, find yours, mark it on the calendar for you specifically. So now as we move into the full moon is going to be happening in the gate 28. The gate 28 is referred to as the gate of struggle or the game player. It really is about finding the meaning of life. This is going to be our full moon that starts, that will be on April 23rd, okay? Now, interesting as we get to look at this vibrational energy, it's really important to pay attention to what arises within. Where are you feeling frustrated? Where do you feel sometimes stuck? This is very akin many times. There's a couple different references I want to give. And that is when you are on the spiritualized path, you begin to awaken energy centers within. As you awaken energy centers within, you begin to move the sacred fluids through your body, also increasing the movement of not only the sacred breath, but increasing the movement of the sacred DMT within your body, the sacred spirit molecule. So there is something similar that happens for those that use sacred plant medicines. Whether it's there's so many, I'm not super versed on all of them, but you could look it up. There are multiple different psychedelics that individuals will use, such as ayahuasca or different toad medicines, mushroom medicines, other herbs, things like this, that will open up these chambers of visuals or moving interdimensionally or through liminal spaces. Basically, what all of these are doing is increasing the flooding or the flow primarily of DMT throughout the body. And DMT has a reactivity within the body. It creates a reactivity within the body where our consciousness has the ability to kind of step out of this material reality and start to explore other thoughts, other potentials. Okay. Now, within that, there can be poof, massive expansion, massive woo, I sense things, and then all of a sudden, guess what? Poof, it comes back and you come back. And then you're here again. And so sometimes within these expansive journeys, people are seeking answers, seeking for the meaning of life. Who am I? What is my sole purpose? What is the greater meaning of everything? And so we get drawn to these. We may know that there is something holding us back. So we're looking for some guidance to help clear the chains so that we can free ourselves to fly more free. But then when we come back, there is like a crash that happens many times where it all of a sudden can actually bring on an onset of depression or a wonder, why didn't the rest of the world change? If my consciousness expanded so much, why didn't the rest of the world change? This very same phenomena that happens to those with or without any use of these types of sacred plant medicines, herbs, any of these different kind of enhancing ritual tools. So whether it doesn't matter if you're on a path where you choose, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to meditate and do breath work, and I'm going to expand my consciousness just through working through the natural centers of my body. Well, guess what? You're still activating those very same sacred spirit molecules in your body. So you're still having these experiences, just maybe not as drastically, but it still happens. And at the same, one thing I notice is there's a lot of individuals on the path that many times go like, man, I was having all of this awareness and feeling connected and having downloads. And then it just feels like it's stopped, or I feel blocked, or I feel like I'm locked away, or I just feel like things aren't working anymore. This is where we want to recognize, especially through this gate 28. This is like the fear that there is no purpose, the fear that nothing matters, the fear that there is no greater cosmic plan, that it's all just some game and none of it matters. Well, this is about us recognizing it's a dance. So if we're going to go up, we're going to come down. We're going to go up, we're going to come down. And every time, even if it's meditation and breath work, we're still utilizing sacred mechanics to move us up. And when we go about our day, going out, having food, doing whatever, guess what? We're kind of coming back down in dimensions to exist within this reality. And it's so the invitation for this point is we want to find our central balance point within self. That you could truly go on a massive mind bending exploration through your consciousness. Yet at a core, there's an aspect of you that is anchoring it all within a point of your consciousness. Really learning that no matter where you go, no matter how you travel, you are the one that's there with you. It's your consciousness. And all of these are just training wheels for our true journey through consciousness, which is at the time of death. When our consciousness finally separates from the physical form. And at that time, don't you want to feel really comfortable and confident that you will not be distracted as you travel because you've already anchored in to this level of your own inner light? This is just a gift that I would begin to present because this gate 28 is a Scorpio energy, right? The underworld. It's Scorpio. It's about embracing the dark side. It's about really understanding our immortality, and our immortality is not bound to form. Our immortality is through our consciousness, our spark, and our eternal purpose of remembering that. So within that, the sun will be in the gate 27, which is, again, that gate of caring. It's that nourishment, it's that protectiveness, it's that energy that wants to care for others. So as the sun is shining this, a huge energy is going to be pulling you through the full moon in the Scorpio of really looking at, well, what is my purpose? What is my place? Who am I? Where do I journey? If you experience crashes, if you experience moments where it feels like, oh, all of a sudden I know my purpose, and then a week later I feel like, what's the purpose of everything? I feel like it's all confusing all over again. The invitation I would bring is to start to have fun in the dance. Start to have fun in the dance. Start to recognize that the high comes to those moments where it all's got to fade away. It's like death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth of your own consciousness. And you don't want to always stay stuck in this one thought, because everything, you want to be able to break it down to let more in again. So that might be something fun for you to really work with through the full moon. Also recognizing, where have you been clinging to anything? That could be something to really surrender and let go. As we move into the gate 24, this is going to be around the 24th of April. And as this is happening, we are now at a time where we're just, we're getting ready for the retrograde to end. And this mental anxiety can be seen as very much a Mercury energy. Mental anxiety, Mercury, just it just does what it does. But within this, the gate 24 is in the Ajna center, and it says that when we get these massive downloads, this is why I picked this image, because a lot of times in those quantum moments where you're in meditation or introspection and you get that download of understanding, it's coming through geometry, sounds, inner knowing, these amorphous things that literally make sense to you in that moment because you are in that space. But the minute you come kind of back and level out your consciousness into interacting in this reality, sometimes it can feel out of reach or out of touch. It can feel kind of confusing to try to turn it into words or terms in order for others to go like, oh, that's really cool what you just experienced. This is about recognizing that we want to just let it flow. We don't want to box it in any way, shape, or form. This wants to connect to the head center, the gate of mystery. And every time the gate 24 is overactive, It tries to nitpick and rationalize everything to death. It can't let mystery happen because it's too busy trying to put it in a box. And what we want to do is recognize that not everything is something that you're going to have make sense in the earth plane. You want to let yourself really fall into that gift of the silence and just be within it. And this is where the inspiration comes. This is where the knowing comes. It doesn't always make sense in our day-to-day life. Our day-to-day life sometimes might be like, feel mundane, feel like it's just going through the motions. But you want to feel that peace in your heart that knows that you don't have to know everything, but that you know that you are moving from your morals, your ethics, your values, and that you are okay doing things that might seem like they're not that important. But yet it's how you do them that brings all the beauty and veneration to creation. And this is where your downloads become inventions that attune us back into that realm of God's silence. So now as we move into the energy of the new moon, within here, I have this connected to the gate 2. I chose this image because the gate 2 is like the womb of the mother. It is like that space within the void that starts to have that spark of light that is so expansive that when you truly connect to the cosmic Sophia, the cosmic mother energy, it is such a massive force without form. And it's pure power and potential can be so overwhelming that we may feel we will die within that space. When you truly have moments with the mother, it's again not some sweet, cuddly little feeling. It is this massive knowingness again of that power. Within this vibration of the gate 2, it's saying that you have the right to be the cosmic womb. That whatever moves through your heart, your mind, your desires, your passions, whatever moves through your body, that you have the sovereign right to manifest and create your own universe, your own world, your own dream. That you don't have to just take on the seeds and thoughts of others just because that's what was told to you or that's what you feel like you can't say no to. That to truly be a cosmic divine creator, it is about that discernment to what you allow into your sacred temple, because whatever you allow in will eventually seed out into some sort of manifest creation. So the gate 2 is in that G center, that soul center, and it's the direction of self. It's about how to take direction and receive all that is needed to fulfill your destiny from the identity of your soul, not your mind, not your beliefs, not your programming, not because of what somebody else tells you, but from your soul. This is the new moon. You guys, if we really wanted to meditate on this, if you wanted to get the Gene Keys book by Richard Rudd, it's the one book I recommend. If you choose to not buy any books, this would be one I would say, please make an exception. It's a great one to meditate with. Read the gate 2. How can you pull this into your sacred meditation for the new moon and play with that? Now, again, Mercury retrograde is going to end on the 25th. So we'll be in the gate 27. This is right before the start of the gate 24. But also seeing this gate 24, actually the end of gate 24 and into gate 2 is where the Pluto starts to go into retrograde motion. So we're seeing this. I just put this here as just something for us to be aware of. Mercury's going to surrender. It's going to start moving direct again, and then it's just going to start moving in its natural motion forward. And as it does this, it's going to unlock a lot of energy within our mind that hopefully you've been using to review, rewind, go over things and really see what works, what doesn't work. I love to use Mercury retrogrades as a time to audit not only things in my own physical life, but also things within the psyche, within belief systems, within everything. Mercury retrograde, audit, 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 clear it out. If it doesn't serve you anymore, kick it out, let it be done, let it go. Uh, but now as Pluto is going to go into retrograde, it's going to slightly dip into Capricorn one more time, but it's really going right back into the gate 60 for one last time. That is allowing us to really see what are our core things from our foundations of traditions of the past. So you might want to look at your family traditions, ethnic traditions, country traditions. If you want to look at this from the 12 tribes, from the Voyager's materials, you can look at this as the tribal traditions, the Ray traditions. You can look at this from your guardian perspective traditions. You have so many spectrums that you can look at this as. And as you get to look at it, what we want to do is take the best from all of them. Because in the end, when you truly look at all of them, at the very core, they start to harmonize with a similarity. And that's what we want to find that commonality, find that similarity, find that singularity point, if you will. And that's what we want to start taking as a foundation for everything we're going to be building into our new creative future. Because when Pluto truly embraces the gate 41, it is time for our fantasies to become our realities. So I hope we are all dreaming the most beautiful Christic dream possible for the earth. Our last couple gates here, as we get to move through this, the gate 23 is assimilation, and the gate 23 is really powerful because within this is the throat chakra, and it is really allowing us to learn diversity. This is so Taurus. And a lot of times we overcomplicate everything. We overcomplicate, we overthink. So the Gene Keys perspective of this is calling it the alchemy of simplicity. That it's about learning that when we try to overcomplicate all of the thoughts, it becomes too convoluted. And this is truly a key core value within writing. So for those that write books or edit things, this is a key teaching. Less is more. If you've written something, an editor will generally send you back, trim it down again, trim it down again, trim it down again, and sometimes it's like, no, I need that word. I need those thoughts because we fall in love with them. But we can recognize that many times the truth, when it is spoken, it comes through simplicity, and simplicity needs very few words. So this is something that is going to teach us to really be mindful of our words. Where can we say less? Lifelong lesson for me in this. For all the different videos you may watch with me, sometimes it's kind of like, okay, we need to stop now. So with that, let's move on to the next energy. And now as we move into the gate 8 here, and as we get to connect within this energy, now we are in the vibration of contribution. This is a really fun vibrational energy because the gate 8 says, live your inner bliss out loud, live your inspiration out loud, live your freaky self out loud. It says if you feel a passion to horseback riding, playing guitar, singing, dancing, painting, speaking, sharing thoughts, writing books, doing art, whatever it is, whatever your passion is, we know that a lot of individuals hide away that part of themselves. And gate 8 says, whatever is your magic, whatever brings you that joy, live it out loud. Don't hide it away from others. Because when you do that, the gene key's name is the diamond of the self. This is again in the G center within there. And it's really a vibration that says, hey, I can make a contribution. And where are we being mediocre? Where are we holding ourselves back? Or where can we really truly share our style and be exquisite to the world? So that is the gate 8 energy. This is such a powerful vibration for us to begin to tap into, because this one is the one that really starts to tap us in to the energy of the Pleiades. It starts to tap us into also embracing that really intense energy from Algol, and how can we be that powerful energy within ourselves so that we express it in its most beautiful form, so that our beauty and our energy that flows through us can actually be something that is beautiful, healing, and balancing for the world, and not a poison for us or for others for creation. So these are just some thoughts for us to be with, to play with. I hope that this report gives you some things to think about and to work with. Please, by all means, if you feel intrigued by any of the things that I talk about, please visit my website at withbecca.com. I have a new link on there that easily shows you where the different courses are that I have available. I have a Sacred Trinity course. This is 3 separate courses that will take you through a lot of these different wisdoms in a very deep level if you want to dive into this more. There's also some free offerings in there, some free courses that I put up if you feel inspired to help others through the transition or through the time of leaving the body, the time of death. There is a really beautiful ceremony that I have offered on there for free that you're more than welcome to go and utilize that resource. There's also our Soul Circle community that we stay connected through a couple of different platforms. So by all means, join in if you want to stay connected on a day-to-day basis, share thoughts, and just stay connected within a community that really resonates with living our highest vibration, really being that responsible, discerning being, for being the highest Christ itself we came here to be. Oh my gosh, would I be so happy to share this sacred circle with you. So with so much love, thank you so much for letting me share this with you. Thank you.